9th, 2026 meeting minutes. I have a comment or two to make. The meeting minutes. I had a question about item 2. The notes indicate that item 307 Iona Ave, 317 Iona Avenue, we're going to be well, let's go over these afterwards. Okay. The 4 buildings designated for the
changing their status.
no, they were in change of status. Pre-1970s buildings. Okay.
Okay.
But other than that, it was fine. Let's get that in there, and we'll have it for the future. So the primary purpose of our meeting tonight is the 102 North Avenue. The discussion will arrive at the final vote for the COA. So let's begin. Oh, call the roll. Oh yeah. Okay. The roll. Carl Gress.
Adam Cromser.
Kevin Block.
Kevin Walsh. That's it.
I'm Graham is on.
Graham is here,
Great.
muted.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead.
Sure. I'm Tim Rubin, the developer. This is Aaron Miller, you might recall, the architect.
Yeah, how you doing? All right, well, okay. Thanks everyone for being here on a beautiful evening and taking the time for us to present again. As you'll see here on the cover page of our packet for the HARB application, we've taken into consideration all of the comments from the last meeting, as well as a follow-up meeting on site with Carl. I'll get into some of that once we get through the other materials. I do have a same rendering here in the packet without the tree, so you can see it that way. But there is a tree, existing tree there to be maintained. Next slide, please. As for the application requirements, we've identified the location of this parcel within the historic district, which you can see the historic district here in what color? I'm not really sure what the color is. Peach. Next slide, please. It was requested that we more clearly identify what is remaining and what is to be demolished on this parcel. So you can see in the upper left the original historic photo from 1943 of the bank and then an adjacent beauty salon, I believe. And then below that, you'll see that at a later date, there was an addition built on the bank, and that is essentially what we're demolishing. We're keeping the original corner 2-story masonry structure, and then demolishing the remaining 1-story portion along with the stair tower in the back. Why is to accommodate the required.
Is this why are we forced to take down the 1-story? Oh, yeah. I talked a little bit last month about a couple things. Number one, we didn't meet in the 1-story portion of the property the minimum ceiling height required by the state, and we also needed to, as you can tell by the renderings that we're going to present, we needed to completely modify the frontage. So at the end, and of course, I also mentioned the fact that we had to expand out the rear. So you have an expansion out the rear, You have to redo the entire front facade, and you'd have to remove and replace the roof.
It wouldn't be much less.
Moving on to the next slide, we have the images around the property. On the left is the west side with the parking. You can see the rear of the building. Middle would be south, and then to the right is the east. Next slide. So showing properties adjacent to the proposed project on Essex Avenue. West side, there are commercial properties for several parcels down the block, and then that transitions to residential, typically to 3-story with peaked roofs, 7 roofs. And you can see what we'll see further along, some of the sort of typical materials, like lap siding, asphalt shingle roofs. There's some shake. So along with the comments from last session about revising, the metal, corrugated metal not really fitting in, being contextual, we've revised our materials. So next slide is the east elevation on Essex. Here we have 4-story apartment building, and then some more of the typical pitched roof structures, and then towards Haverford Avenue is a project that CDP designed, with also residential, commercial on the first floor. Next slide. Some additional photographs of the site. So we have looking towards the site on Haverford Avenue. Next slide. Looking across the street to the train tracks, and I believe on the left side, that's the existing PLCV store. Next slide. And finally, on the west end of the site, across from the parking, you can see additional detached residential structures with asphalt shingle roofs, lap siding, some typical materials of the area. And on the next slide, let's get further down the street, similar type of housing. Okay, so then we get to our material palette on the next slide. I've also brought the physical samples. So we're proposing a more buff textured brick that has some subtle blues in it, and then picking up on that with the storefront, which you can see in the lower left, and like the canopy metal, as well as we have 2 different tones for hardy. The smooth would be the lap siding, which is the darker material, and then the lighter bluish gray would be the shake hardy siding. And we're looking at a tan Pella fiberglass window, and of course the dimensional asphalt shingle roof. Showing the gap timber line, could be certainty as a comparable product to right for we have gap in here. And then cast stone sills. So that pretty much covers the material palette. Well, the red is accent metal, and so we have that of the apartment entry, as well as around the back of the liquor store. All right, next slide, please. So here you can see the revised rendering from last week. So the comments from last week were about giving more prominence to the entry primarily, and sort of differentiate, making sure that the entry to the liquor store is distinguished from the historic architecture adjacent to it. And so the 2 things that we did here was tone down the paint, more of a off-white and as well as giving more prominence to the entry. So I think 2 slides further was the previous design. Let me just go to that for a minute. We can flip between the two. So I included the alternates in case there was some type of preference for one or the other, but I think we, based on the comments from last week as well as meeting with Carl, this seemed to work a little bit better. So previously we had it divided into, well, it was still divided into 3 segments, but with the double piers, it kind of made each of the 3 segments feel more similar in size. Whereas by getting rid of the double pier, the 2 modules that are not the entry elongated, and we also raised the parapet at the entry and gave it inset cast stone eaves to demarcate that entry.
So just to be clear, this is the
That's what's
proposal.
proposed, and so you can see on the other one it says alt. So, but this is what we're planning on.
Thanks.
Additionally, per Adam's comment, we've incorporated the pergola, some greenery up on the decks. The roof, of course, is shown in asphalt shingles, and then hardy shake for most of the cladding. So you can go to the apartment entry. View from southwest, view moving forward. Yeah, that's them. Additional comments that were taken into consideration here. Some of them had to do with parking, so we were showing bollards to protect the loading dock and the adjacent building. We revised of course, the materials themselves and added some accent and windows in the entry and elevator lobby. So there was some reconfiguration to the floor plan, which allowed these large windows at the elevator lobby. And yes, and then you can see on the back of the liquor store that we have these inset murals. I mean, this is just a placeholder. It can be, coordinated with the community as to what ends up on those. But we have 2 on this angle portion, and then 2 additional we'll see on the elevation. So 4 mural pins. Next slide, please. This is a rendering just straight on of the entry elevation. Just want to say here, we did, you'll see in the site plan, on the next slide, incorporate all of the planting and these drawings from the landscape plan, and we leave the shade tree.
Yeah, we met with Shade Tree last week, actually.
What is the panel to the right of the apartment?
That is the stair tower exit door.
It's like an
them.
emergency exit door?
Yeah. So try and make that disappear.
Is it free on the front and we replaced?
Where we left off last week was that we're going to try and save it.
Yeah.
And to the extent we can't save it, it was sort of a split decision. Some people wanted to see it gone regardless. But the consensus was if we can save it and limit up, to try.
Okay.
Adam, you were referring to this panel for egress? Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
To the right of that, where there was a stair and a door, we're gonna just have a solid panel painted up to match the existing trim. So on the existing building. Yeah. There's a comment about us still showing that as a door swinging west, and we were here. That will not be a door. Next slide, please. Go to site plan. Listen here, the planting, shade trees along the parking area, as well as the planting buffer. We also have a planter near the ramp and entry to the wholesale space. We, taking into consideration the comments from last time about the bike storage area and the dumpsters, we did what we could. There's very limited room on the site. So the comment before was that we had the bikes behind the dumpsters. What we were able to do is get the entry, which you'll see on the floor plan a few sheets later. You can see where the door is located, but the door is basically adjacent to the back of the wholesale to enter the bike room. So you're not passing dumpsters to get in.
It's the fence around the dumpsters. What's it made out of?
Well, I don't think we've designed that just yet. They want to be robust. I won't speak as, to what it would be, so I'm not sure where we're gonna go with that now. Next slide is clip from the land development plans, and this is the diagram of the truck for deliveries to the wholesale. So essentially they'll pull in towards the end of the lot and then back into place. And in the parked position, it will still allow cars to enter the parking lot. There will likely be one of the EV spaces that would be compromised during the delivery. But that is it. Next slide, please. Here you can see the first floor plan, retail entrance on Essex, the wholesale, and you can see where the apartment entrance, that apartment entrance arrow should be slid over a little bit to the left. So we relocated the door. So as far as other comments that were made about the existing entry to the bank, we did pass that along to PLCB, and they said they would consider it, but we don't really have any specific responses to report it.
They were gonna share that with their merchandising and marketing team. They're aware of it.
Yeah.
But
So currently we have it as a, replacement with a fixed divided light window. And if we can work with them to have some sort of tasting or something off of there, we'll do that.
This is the entrance on,
yeah, it's on the corner facing us.
Under the pediment columns.
Right.
Next slide, please. Second floor plan, we have 4 apartments. As I said, we reconfigured the elevator lobby. It's a better layout at this point. Gave a little bit more space to the apartment 3 for the entry sequence. And then apartment 1, which is in the existing historic building, will have roof access and a roof terrace. Next slide.
You think that the roof terrace joists will have to span from wall to wall, like as opposed to, or are you planning on using the actual roof deck itself, the roof surface as the?
I think we're planning on pavers on pedestals, so it'll just be on the existing roof.
Are you reusing the roof the building has now?
I believe the structure is being reused. We think we're re-roofing it, I'm not sure.
And so it'll be strong enough to hold up the pavers and
Yeah, I mean, we're not putting a green roof on it, so we
it can handle the load, you're saying.
check with the structural engineer. It should be able to.
Right.
Yes. Next slide. Roof plan. So we have the 3 pitch roof sections, which are all organized over top of the living and kitchen space. Except for, well, one of the 3 is over the stair access to the roof, as well as like over the elevator lobby on the 2nd floor.
So I know one of the other commissioners asked me, why wide pitched roofs. Why as opposed to flat roofs?
Right, well, I think one is to get that more interesting space in the living space with the vaulted ceilings, because we're not just doing attic space, as you will see in the section later that we're planning on doing an unvented roof structure with, you know, the insulation on the underside and some combination spray foam and fiberglass bats. And then adhering the drywall just to the underside of those roof joists to get a more interesting living dining space with tall lofty ceilings. As you saw from the photos of existing residential parcels around, it is not uncommon to see pitched roofs in this area. So I know it's not the typical like layout of the other duplexes, but it seems appropriate and provides an interesting interior space. And then the rest of the roof will be flat over the bedrooms and baths, and then we will have the outdoor condensing units on that little roof. Next slide, please. So here we have the elevations. What to comment on here, you know, I've identified the materials on the elevation number 1, east elevation Essex Avenue. I've indicated, you know, how we're complying with the code as far as the ratio of openings to opaque wall. Some pretty stringent requirements that, you know, you can only have 2 foot width of opaque between glazing areas. The maximum amount of glazing along this wall is 75%, minimum 50%, so we're at 69. Cornices can't extend more than 1 feet without being unbroken, so we addressed that in the design of this elevation. Next slide. On elevation 2, you'll see where we have, if I misspoke earlier, we have 3 of the mural panels on that back red corrugated siding above the brick water table. Yeah, I think that covers the elevation. We can come back with any questions if you have. The next slide are the sections. In section 1, you'll see the retail at along Essex on the left side, and then we're stepping down for the whole wholesale, and that was to mitigate the slope from Essex to the back of the site, so that we could get the ramp to the wholesale and stairs to get that into the back, as well as getting the correct height for the loading dock.
How wide is the arch space, the big space in apartment 2 and 4? In building section 1?
Section 1, how wide is
the arch space in apartment 2 and 4?
the arch base?
The peaks. Yeah.
Oh, how tall are they?
How wide?
No, wow.
Oh, wide. I'm not recalling. Okay, at the scale.
It's about 20.
Yeah, that's my
That's
guess.
about right.
Maybe 15 feet by height, maybe 18 feet high.
They're like 16 feet high.
From the land.
Okay.
Yeah, because back to the floor plan. Well, we do have the graph scale on here too, so it looks pretty close to 16. We go from 16 to 32. So yeah, the width looks like 16. And overall height is pretty comparable.
About 20-foot span. And it's about 14 feet high.
Slide.
So as required to show some of the features and details and other section perspective and as well as what we're thinking for sort of the typical window detail. So wall section perspective number 2, some of the architectural details with the cast stone sill at the storefront, and then we recessed the brick to accentuate the piers. Some typical stuff, aluminum glass automatic sliding entrances, aluminum fabric awnings. For the lower portion of the roof terraces, we're looking at a brick soldier course to differentiate that from the main entry where we'll have a projecting cast stone coping. And then we have the
Wait, I'm sorry,
Sure.
where is the soldier course?
so if you just past the section at the parapet where the railing is, so that would be you can see a little projecting
the top of the
soldier course, yeah.
On top of the cornice, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the aluminum and wood pergola. So in the detail on the right, to try to get some depth to the windows, adding additional blocking for the rough opening to get the window recessed, being able to still use the flanged window, and then a PVC trim surround. Next slide is a second perspective through the main or the apartment entry. And you can see the corrugated metal accent between the storefront entry and the windows in the second floor elevator lobby. And we would do the same vaulted roof structure at the second floor for a pretty unique, interesting elevator lobby at the second floor as well.
Is that a typical detail, the projecting PVC trim for the window opening or? An inch and a half, 2 inches.
Somewhat. The window is a little bit suspect. If we're
the drawing.
water in.
Yeah, that
Right
is,
in.
yes, that was a direct manufacturer's cut, so. Are you saying about like the gap at just the graphics of the window itself? Yeah.
What is that, just supposed to show that it's to be opened or something? What do you mean? The sash? Or? Anyway,
It seems odd.
that's not like key closed.
Well, it's closed in the picture, one, but you have both the top and the bottom, you have an access point for water or else, snow,
Yeah, it's not,
to get in.
it's not shown like gasketed or, sealed over the. It's a graphic issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's what we have for the presentations. Any questions?
Wait, I'm sorry, are the windows fixed windows or?
There are operable and fixed. So if you go back to the
Like, so
elevation.
the apartment section for the upper story.
Yeah, I think, yeah, the elevations show, and actually there are more than should be shown. So when we have pairs, let's just help pick out an elevation to look at. So let's go to the A202 sheet. The second page of the elevations.
Yeah,
On elevation 2, the west elevation, if you look up at that, that set of windows, you'll see that the lower sashes are awning vents. We wouldn't do both of those. I think one of the two pairs would be operable. When it's a pair. When it's a
So
single,
the bottom tilts
the
out.
bottom would come out, yeah.
Hmm.
And in order to get the larger operable at the bottom and keep the consistent mullion height, they will need to be the fiberglass windows.
I'm sorry, to keep the mullion height, what?
In order to have the larger operable at the bottom,
Mhm.
it takes you into the fiberglass realm of the window.
For what the sash is made out of, you mean? Like
Yeah,
frame?
all of the window itself, yeah,
Okay, well,
all of the framing, yeah.
Will the windows in the, different building be made off? Are they off?
Well, currently, I believe they have a storm window on the exterior, so they would not.
it's missing one, yeah.
So,
I
with future,
anticipate we would like to make them operable, but
Well, the storm, they're wood sashes.
Yeah.
So they kind of need to be painted at least. But
Yeah.
The storm does protect the window and gives insulation.
Yeah.
Because they're single pane glass probably. Maybe, I don't know.
Pretty sure they are.
okay.
May I ask a question about the demising wall? I'm looking at the elevation here.
It's the old elevation.
So excuse me. Here, same, it's the same thing, though. I know that you added the demising wall to roughly equally split the two outside patios. But that wall from the street is not really in dialogue at all with the piers or the entry. And I'm just wondering if there's any thought to how that one design element can fit in with the rest of that elevation.
it's a good question. I think the language was meant to be more part of the pergola structure, like, so perhaps we can figure out a way to make it read a little bit more part of that element instead of like the building architecture. I think we do need a privacy screen between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we can rely on plant, like open kind of trellis situation there.
Okay. I had another question about the rear elevation here, which is, could you say a little bit more about the material selection for the loading dock area? And is that a concrete pad? What are the lighter materials? Can you just talk a little bit about, because those don't seem to be used elsewhere. So I'm trying to understand their introduction.
Yeah, I mean, I think we thought the ramp was kind of a unique element. It's at an angle, it's sort of doing something different than everything else, and it needs to be robust, for the loading dock traffic. So yes, we're showing the wall capping the loading dock, which I don't think you really need or want to see that much of, as a board formed cast in place concrete. So, wouldn't be actual boards, but they make liners, they make liners that mimic board formed concrete. So that was the idea there. And then the other sort of site wall would be the same. And then we were thinking of like a tinted concrete for the rest of the ramp. And then additionally, there's the brick water table, which is the same that's in the front. Starts over at the apartment entry, follows the ramp, and then extends up to the underside of the canopy and over to the loading dock door. So we're sort of bringing that material around, yeah.
This is the same as this.
Yes, correct. And then the entrance canopy and the canopy over the wholesale are similar design and color. And there's one more little site wall, I think you can see it in the other rendering, that's looking straight on, it's also the work concrete. Yeah, the little post coming down from the canopy.
I guess my thoughts on the red corrugated metal siding there, I'm assuming it's trying to be in dialogue with the brick building of the historic structure. Was that the original idea? You referred to it as an accent wall.
Yeah, I think it's pulling some of that color, it's not trying to mimic it, I mean, the color, like. So it's gonna be kind of in that realm, of course, it's, a little more saturated and brighter. But I think it also just played well with the rest of the material palette that we selected. Like, it looks good with the brick, it fits nicely with the siding material, so. And it's one of the standard colors.
I'm thinking of the landscape plan. So is this view actually wouldn't be, there'll be plantings right here. So you actually,
Plantings
you,
to the left.
from the street, you would not actually see that unobstructed.
Well, you're right here,
You're out in the street.
Standing kind of on the street, right at the curb cut where the cars would be coming into the lot.
Yeah, that's,
So I guess if I point up here, you're probably right here,
Mm-hmm.
looking straight at this wall. So if you were to just turn a little bit, you're gonna start seeing all of that planting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as you're walking up the sidewalk, you'd see some of that.
So if one,
Seeing the red, like, that's pretty much all gonna be masked, like, mostly, by the time you get up to here. You'll have a view of the side, but I don't think you're gonna see the
right,
whole elevation like at once, unless you're on Dudley, looking straight up through the parking lot.
okay. So given that our purview is really just from the public right of way, the experience of walking up Haverford, one would not be confronted with that entire expanse of red corrugated metal. It from the sidewalk, it would be only at that driveway entrance really where we would see that material head on. Is that correct?
I mean, mostly, I guess if you're down at the far corner, looking up through.
but it'd be mostly screened, there'd be a couple.
Yeah, I mean, as you get closer, this little corner starts to screen the one side.
Okay.
Thinking of Little Jim with the egress windows, we had to alter the existing window sets you had out there.
Mhm.
Just looking at apartment one, you have 3 bedrooms, and you need egress windows in the building.
So we're not doing, we have 2 stairs, it's an interlocking stair, so you don't need the emergency escape and rescue windows.
So I'm looking at steps, I'm gonna go read plans, just so you know. I'll take a look at section 107.1.1. And it says interlocking stairs shall only be counted as one exit.
That is, I know this section of the code, and I can't remember what part it is, it says if they're, I thought that was the scissor stair. It
It
just,
says interlocking door scissor.
there, well, I might have to find the commentary, but there is a section that says as long as they're independently rated,
Separated from one.
separated from one another, that you can do it. And I mean, we still have to maintain the third of the diagonal for each exit, so it was, it's close, but
Okay.
it does work.
All right, so I've got 2 of my 3 comments. The last one was to speak to Adam's question earlier. Our solid waste ordinance, which is kind of part of the subdivision review, For cars that don't sprinkler, should be brick, wood, food, metal fencing, that's it.
Okay.
There is an alternative, you can do evergreens, too, but, that's really the main rules.
Kevin, you said waste enclosure, brick, metal, or
It's like,
It's similar to the 102 3, how they were different, it depends on how many dwelling units dictates what you're supposed to put out there, whether it's trailers, where it after the Boston.
mhm.
I think this one will look more like James, or you had the commercial and
Right.
versus whatever you want
Right.
to supply.
I'm not so sure about the, transition from the door at Essex Ave, the corner door, the existing corner door on inside the piers, the posts to, the light that has this, formal, but the, traditional venue of this is paint a house or leave alone. You're leaving that, you're not painting it, well, you are painting it, but you're not leaving it alone, you're treating the door as, a formal thing. It's got a new fixed divided light window instead.
Instead of the door.
Yeah, instead of the door. I'm not sure that the window is the correct solution.
Carl, what drawing are you on?
A201.
So you have something in mind?
When I take a door, you can make it a fully glazed door and use that. You'll have. It'll be
Non-operating.
an outdoor door, yeah. It'll be formed on, there'll be stiles and rails. But, it won't have a formal lock, it won't have a formal key.
Mhm.
I just think the removal of the door and installation of a window will be a little strange.
Yeah, we could do it.
I mean, it has the form of bank door there now, so
Yeah,
you have to purchase something
yeah.
better, but.
I think the other question I had was on the, A202, elevation 2, west elevation, we only have one, is it mural panel?
Yeah.
On the back. I'm wondering why there isn't 3, why you're leaving 2/3 of the red panel, red. Lane,
Yeah, we can,
vacant.
I would say we can add some, I think there was some, because of the bike storage structure, so constraint to the height, so, but yeah, we could transition to either shorter panels or raise all of them
Yeah,
to get them to go at the top, so, it's more reasonable.
I'm
to
wondering-
add additional.
Can I add one comment there? I know it's a loading area. If there's, to decorate that expanse, I'd rather, instead of more or less, actually, if there's any way to green that in some way, I think it would achieve this goal of being neutral. And I'm not sure adding additional art panels would be helpful, but that's my thought. I'm thinking the pergola was a really good idea. I think that improved the front. So something like that where there's a vertical landscaping element, I think could also be really effective.
There's a possibility of that near the bike room.
Yeah.
I think along the angle portion, probably not, because we're right up to the track, loading dock.
Yeah.
Truck backing area.
I think that,
Up here?
Yeah.
Yes. But like, you know, down in Gregory, the landscaping is here. Really.
On Dudley?
Side of the building.
we enter the parking lot, we get a full view of that rear wall, and we have a lot of people that come around there. That's obviously where I walk, and that wall would be obvious. So it could be either or.
Okay.
So, Brad's still on?
Graham, would you like to make any comments? No.
Okay. Any further comments?
So the signage is gonna be on the awnings, you think, or will there be other signage?
There will likely be other signage. Yeah,
Do you think most likely over the entrance to the store, or where do you enter?
I do. I think that will be the location. So we may need to drop that recessed cast stone bit if the signage is crossing it. So I don't think that would work so well.
I don't have, these are not, intended to be, directive comments. Realize the bollards are there to in part protect the building. And you may or may not think about just attaching a sort of a rub rail instead, like a metal rail. Because it's what you're guarding against is like the truck backing up or something, then it's just an alternative way to think about protecting the home. I mean, the bollards, they kind of, I don't know, because it represented essentially steel tubes filled with concrete or, they're not particularly aesthetic. I don't know if it's the loading dock, but, and they're not especially effective at protecting the wall either, but. They're, right now they're along the perimeter of the parking lot to keep people from parking on the sidewalk, I think.
Is there any external lighting to this entrance?
There will, I believe we will integrate some. I don't know about the canopy or on the face of the building, but it should be something near the entry door. I think there's at least a code required to now wing.
Yeah, I feel like we have lighting underneath the canopies across the street.
Yeah.
There a street light?
There is, I took it out of I took it out of the straight on rendering. But yeah, the landscape plans show it's actually kind of right in front of. And. Yeah, it's generally like. I think it might actually be right here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I forgot to look at the current parking lot has overhead lights or no? Or just have like walls, it's just like wall lights or no lights? Are you planning to illuminate the parking lot or?
There's not much, if you look on P0 dash, right? Not one,
Feel like I don't have it again, the landscape plan had, let me see if we have one in our architectural site plan.
Well, there
some-
there can be concern from residents.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like how they would feel.
There could be concern for residents
Yeah.
for you're saying
Too
too
much
much lighting?
At the moment, I think we have the required street pole, like the standard street poles. But that's along, it's in the buffer, so if you go to AS 101, you can see the ones right in front of the entry in plan. Yeah, that's it, so. There's one at the entry, and then 1, 2, 3 more along the planting strip. But, at the moment, there's no more like pole mounted lights in the parking. If we needed wall mounted, something like that, and.
Well, the main thing is this, like the back half of the lot is residential.
Yeah,
You have the zoning demarcated on the drawing is just to avoid glare in
okay.
people's windows and yards
Mhm.
and things like that, which come from commercial fixtures in particular or streetlights. And I mean, Kevin, they're only allowed to put a sign on one side of the building, is that right, or two sides?
Yeah, I think it's, if you don't have, it's per entrance actually,
So just,
it's per.
so loading dock's not gonna count as an
No.
entrance then, yeah, right?
650 Montgomery, that two years of the front entrance and back entrance is each day.
Gotcha. I do think the apartment windows, you could think about what's gonna be the simplest to keep them clean and or the most pleasing to the residents, but. And it does matter because it relates to how the facade is composed with the compatibility with the historic structure and all that, but. You're saying they tilt in, where is the hinge?
They tilt out.
They tilt out
Yeah.
from the bottom sash out?
Yeah.
All right. I just like when you go to Europe, the standard residential window now is actually tilt and turn, and they tilt in from the top
Mhm.
in, and then they open in as inward casing. I don't know. It's very common in Europe, and it's like extremely practical because you can clean the window from inside the apartment, and if you tilt it in from the top, no children can fall out. But if you want to actually pass through the window, or then you have the casement effect. So it's a really nice design. But anyway.
Yeah, we've specified into windows before, so. UPVC, unplasticized PVC. And, yeah, very energy efficient, and we do the tilt tonight.
The miracle engineer mechanism.
Okay,
Okay, so I guess we should take a vote.
is there any comments from the public?
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
So All are in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
What is that? I'm already heard
You do.
it. God.
Well, I guess you have the approval of the COA. That said, I will. I'll produce this tomorrow. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Carl, you get that by Wednesday?
Yeah.
We can approve it Thursday.
Try and do it tonight.
Where the rights to the signal.
COA.
Yeah, I think that would really like that.
So, new business?
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks very much.
Good night.
Nice to meet you. Thanks.
Oh, and I.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Well, you're not making express guys.
No, that's all that goes, yeah.
Because you can never.
Let me sit down. Now, that's you.
Thanks for coming in, we're working plan.
I mean, you're creating this, all, everything that is sent here in a PDF, I don't have to tomorrow.
People seeing it.
All right, well, have a good night.
Take care. It's perfect. Any other new business?
Yeah, Dennis and I did meet with that owner, property owner for the marker.
Yeah,
Does not seem receptive. So this project is, likely for naught. And we can put an end to it.
I noticed the building that, where was it? I don't know, across the street from the. Across the street from the old school. That looks like it's because of the door, that angle, 45-degree angle or glass. Maybe another
Okay,
on the buildings and, I know it wasn't on the tour.
okay, I'll check it out.
I've got some news. I took a job this, last week.
Are you excited?
Hey, no, I am excited, yes. But it will mean a little bit more of my time, a lot more of my time is going to be spent outside of the office, outside of my house, working. And so I may ask for some help from you guys to assist with some things as you go.
Congrats.
Thanks. Any other issues? Thanks. Okay. So we can adjourn. So, let's adjourn.